ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां व्यासशंकरमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम नमो नारायणाय। So today we have assembled here to look at the meaning of Narayana Suktam. So Narayana Suktam is also one of the very important Suktams chanted by the Vedikas. So it belongs to one of the 5 Panchasuktaha. So Panchasuktams, this is one of the most important things. And immediately after the Purusha Suktam, Narayana Suktam is chanted. And Narayana Suktam belongs to the Vaishnava Parampara. So, because Mahavishnu is Vaishnava, is from the Vaishnava Parampara or Vishishta Advaitam, you can call it. So the worship of Narayana here is from the Vishishta Advaita philosophy. So Vishishta Advaitam, let's say, is called qualified non-dualism. That means there is a qualification about the non-dualism. And what is the qualification? The qualification here is that in non-dualism, non-dual, there is nothing called a name or a person being talked about. Because in Advaita philosophy, we always believe that name represents just an object of knowledge. So when we say Vishnu is a name, when we say Rama also is a name, when we say Shiva also is a name. So all these are names of the same one Bhagavan, which is of various multitude of names. So in Advaita, we always go one step a bit further, where we resolve the names also into this, into Brahman or the consciousness. Whereas in the case of Vishishta Advaitam or qualified non-dualism, they still have the philosophy that Vishnu is the ultimate abode, or called Para-Brahman. So they have to go to Vaikuntham, or the people who are Saiva Siddhantis. So for them it is Shiva Lokam. So the Saiva Siddhantis, they believe they go to Shiva Lokam, and the Vaishnava Siddhantis go to Vaikuntham. So you look at any of the lectures, Upanyasam, you will see this consistent message given that Vaikuntha Loka Prapti is important. That is why Vaikuntha Ekadashi is celebrated. So when you say Vaikuntha, means on the day the door is open for people to get in, the Vaikuntha Dwar. So there is nothing wrong with that philosophy. The only thing is, for the people who understand that kind of a message, it is at least good than not having to follow anything at all. So at least you are able to, in the name of the Bhagavan, you are able to learn at least what is the meaning of the Suktams and what is said there, what are the Lakshana of the Bhagavan is being said. So this Narayana Suktam also is from the Rig Veda. And most of the suktams are coming from the Mahanarayana Upanishad. So when you study Mahanarayana Upanishad, you will see this also being chanted. So Purusha Suktam also is chanted, then Narayana Suktam also is chanted, Durga Suktam is chanted. All of these are part of this Mahanarayana Upanishad. So the very first meaning is Narayana Suktam. So the word Suktam itself means an hymn or praise. Suktam indicates a hymn or a praise for the Bhagavan. And Narayanam, Narayana, when they say, it has got some connotations, different meanings are there. Both are all ultimately same only, nothing major difference. The first meaning definition is called Nara or Nara plus Ayana. Narayana. Naraha plus Ayanam. Narayanam. So Naraha means the human being or the person who is following is called Naraha. And Ayanam means the destination or the Lakshyam to which one is supposed to go. So Sadhyam, yesterday's class, you remember I talked about Sadhyam, Sadhana Sadhyam. So Sadhanam and Sadhyam. So Sadhyam means that to be achieved, that one has to attain. So here also Ayanam means the abode or the destination or the place one has to go. And Naraha plus Ayanam. So every human being, irrespective of color, creed, sex, religion, any class, is supposed to be following this philosophy of attaining the Bhagavan. So that is one definition of Naraha. The second definition of Naraha is water or abode of water. So you will see the Narayana, whenever you see the photograph, he is always in an ocean. He is always sitting in an abode of ocean and he is relaxing. So the person who is in the abode of water and the person who has to go there is called Narayana. So Naraha also indicates water or an abode of water. That is why from the famed Naraha we get the word Narikela Phalam, coconut. Narikela Phalam, you know that, right? When you are doing puja, you say Narikela Phalam, Payasam, all these things come, right? Laddugam, Modagam. So Narikela Phalam means the fruit which has got water inside is called Narikela Phalam. So the word Narayana also indicates that the Bhagavan who is sitting in the abode of water. So in Tamil also, I think people are Tamil here, most of them, they can understand. So I can speak Tamil also. So Parkadalil Srinivasan Palli Kondirikkiran. So Pal Endrum Kadal. So Kadal means there's actually water. And it is called the Milky Ocean. So in the Milky Ocean, the Narayana, the one called Srinivasa. So the word Srinivasa also indicates the same thing. Nivasa means a place. And where the Sri river resides is called Srinivasa. Sri means what? The consort of Mahavishnu. So Srihi. So Sri Lakshmi. So where the wealth resides, is called Srinivasa. Then the third connotation for Narayana is of 4-letter. Just as in Om Namah Shivaya, we have Panchakshara mantra. Same here also we have 4-letter mantra. So Na plus Ra, Aya, Na, 4-letter. So Na, Ra, Ya, Na, 4 letters. So the 4 letters represent the Chaturvida Purusharthaha. Chaturvida Purusharthaha, or Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. So when I say Narayana Suktam, it indicates the hymn or a prayer praising the greatness of this Narayana, who is the main deity presented here. And this Suktam is not for Parayana. It is not for Parayanam, it is for contemplation. It is for meditation. That means in Purusha Suktam, the message is to visualize the creation. So in Purusha Suktam, the message is to visualize how the creation happened, Srishti happened, and how the Bhagavan is present in every different aspects. Then immediately Narayana Suktam is chanted by, because after having realized or after understood the creation, one is now supposed to meditate on that form or what has been there internally. So it is not to be chanted, it is to be chanted, of course, not that it can't be chanted. But the real purpose of that Narayana Suktam is for meditation or contemplation purpose. Because every word in that text indicates an aspect of Saguna Brahma or Nirguna Brahma. So it is always alternating between Sagunam and Nirgunam. And just as in Vishnu Sahasranama also, here also Vishwam, the word comes. See, Sahasra Sirsham Devam Vishwaksham. So Vishwa Aksham. So the word Vishwam comes here. Same also in the Vishnu Sahasranama also, Vishwam, Vishnu Vashatkaro. So the word Vishwam comes there. Here also Vishwam comes here. So what is Vishwam? The word Vis means pervade. The word Vis is pervade. Pervade means that which enters, that which is the essence of everything, called Vis. So Vishwam, when I say, what does it pervade? It pervades the entire cosmos, the entire universe. All Chetanam, Achetanam, sentient and insentient living beings. So the Vishwam, when I say, this Narayana is the one who is pervading in all the living beings and non-living beings. The one which has got intelligence and doesn't have intelligence. The one which can be manifest, cannot be manifest. All of them is this Narayana. So it's a complete prayer where one has got a full contemplation of the entire cosmos being within him. Because when you bring the Bhagavan inside you, what you are trying to do, you are trying to bring the whole universe inside. And you are part of the universe is inside you. So you are not separate from the universe at all. So where is the question of you being separate from the universe? When the whole universe actually is seen by you in this form, how this Vishnu or this Narayana is seen in that form. Correct? That's why it's very important to have the visualization concept. Then Vishwachakshuhu also. So Chakshuhu means eyes. The one who has got Vishwachakshuhu the one who has got eyes all around. Just like, Sahasra Shirsham Vishwaksham Vishashambhuvam. Sahasraksha Sahasrapa. So Sahasrakshaha. Same here also, Vishwaksham. So Sahasram and Vishwam, Vishwakshaha is same. The Sahasra there in Purusha Suktam talks about what? Thousands of eyes. Here what? Vishwachakshuhu. It means what? The same thing. So there also the concept is similar. Here also the concept is similar. The only thing is here it talks about Vishwam a little bit more elaborately. There 1000 is a number, people may meditate on 1000 or limited number. Here it says drop the number. You now include everything in the universe. Whatever you see, whatever you do not see, whatever is manifest, whatever is unmanifest, everything is Narayana. So when you have that concept, understanding, then there is no question of missing anything. Why are you missing anything? Right? So you're always there consistently with the Bhagavan. That is why you do not need to go anywhere. You do not need to go and do special puja. You do not need to go to a particular place and do chanting. Because all these things will get stopped. Stop means you will yourself get disconnected. You do not need to do anything great about it. Initially you'll go. I had to go to this program on this day. I got this chanting on day. I had to go that chanting on that day. You go there as a Parayana, you just keep going. But when you understand that this Parayana is actually not the real destination, the Parayana is only for you to control the mind. The Parayana which you do, the chanting which you do is to bring your mind into focus. After bringing the mind to focus, one has to use the mind to delve into the meaning of what it is said. So that is why this very important text, Narayana Suktam. Right? So here there are 10 different aspects being discussed. The first thing is called Narayana equal to Sarvatma. So Sarvatma means the one who is residing in every living and non-living being. Sarvatma. Sarva Bhuteshu, you can say also Sarva Bhuteshu Sarvatma. Sarvatmakam is a Advaitic philosophy. Even though it belongs to Vishishtadvaitam, Sarvatmakam means that which pervades everything in every Atma is present. Sarvatmakam. Then, second definition for this is Sarva Niyantaha. Sarva Niyantaha. So, Niyantranam, when you say, means controlling or discipline, order. So, Sarva Niyantranam, Niyantraha means the one who is responsible for the preservation of the order in the system. So Bhagavan Vishnu is supposed to be the one who is the sustainer of the universe. Palankarta, Srishtikarta, Palankarta, Samharakarta. So we have 3 different roles for different people. So one is called Brahma is Srishtikarta. Vishnu or Narayana here is called Palankarta, means the one who is protector, who is the one who runs the entire thing, making sure that everything works in order. So if required, he will come. In any form, he may come to restore the order. He doesn't have to talk to Brahma. He doesn't have to talk to Shiva. He will just come when the time is come. See, same way, the people who follow Nara or Narayana, we say Ayanam, means the follower of Nara. The same way, we say Ramayana, we say. Ramayana means what? The person who follows the principles of Rama. It's called Ramayana. So the Ramayana story is just not Ramayana just like that. Ramaha plus Ayanam iti Ramayanaha. Naraha plus Ayanam iti Narayanaha. The one who follows the principles of Narayana is called Narayana. The one who follows Ramaha is called Ramayana. So the story represented is Narayana there. Both Rama and Narayana are both same. There's no difference. They're only born in different avatars, different yugas. Correct. So one is born in Dwapara Yuga, one is in Treta Yuga. And both of them are in time. So Yuga, when you say they are in time. So avatars are what? They are bound by time. They cannot extend beyond time. They have to go back. So any avatara which comes here cannot stay beyond a particular time. It can be for a few years, it can be for a few centuries, but after this particular time is over, they have to go back, because that is the rule, that is the order. It is applicable to even the Bhagavan also. Right? That is why avatara Purushaha, they have to be revered. Right? They have to be followed. They have to be, but they must not be worshipped, because they do not want them to come back. So, Sarva Niyantraha, one who is responsible for controlling. Today I'm just going to give you an overview, okay? It's easy class, nothing to worry. But there's still a lot of subject to tell, which is not covered by, when you study this kind of things. So, Sarva Niyantraha, one who is responsible for controlling of all the world. Correct? Also, another word called Antaryamihi. Antaryamayati iti Antaryamihi. So, Antaryamayati means what? The one which goes inside, the one which is traveling inside is called Antaryami. So, Antaryamayati iti Antaryami. So, Sarva Niyantraha is also equal to Antaryami. Sarvatma is equal to Sarva Bhuteshu. So another name. Then Aksharam Brahma, number third. Aksharam Brahma. See, Ksharaha means that which is supposed to decay. And Aksharaha, when you say that which has got no decaying, it doesn't change, it is always there. Aksharam Brahma. See, in the Kena Upanishad also, there is a topic between Angiras, and he says, Nityam Vibhum Sarvagatam Sasukshmam Tat Avyayam Yat Bhutayonim Paripashyanti Dhiraha. So it is also said in the Kena Upanishad that this particular person is actually of the name of Vibhum, Vishwam, Vibhum, Sarvagatam, all these things. So, sorry, Mundaka Upanishad, not in Kena, Mundaka Upanishad. So, Aksharam Brahma is the one which is always present, that which is cannot be eternal, imperishable reality is called Aksharam Brahma. And anything else which is Ksharaha means that which is supposed to be not imperishable. So perishable is all the perishable, correct? So this is all not Sharam Brahma. Aksharam Brahma is imperishable Brahma. Okay? Then the fourth one is called Vaishwanara Brahma. Vaishwanara Brahma. So what is Vaishwanara? Vaishwanara means this soul, the individual jivas. So the one who is present in all the jivas as essence of everything is called Vaishwanara Jiva, Vaishwan Brahma. So he is the ruler of all the living souls. So he is present in the amoeba, he is present in the spider, he is present in the cockroach, rat, animals, and us, plants, everything is present as the essence of everything. That's called Vaishwanaraha Brahma. Then number 5 is Ayatanam Brahma. Ayatanam Brahma, number 5. So Ayatanam, when I say he is the one who is the supporter of or the bridge between the heaven and the earth. So he's the bridge between moksham and jiva. So he is the one who builds the bridge. So through that bridge only you have to go. So if you want to cross the bridge, see, moksham is on the other side of the bridge, right? So Bhagavan, what does it do? He lays a bridge for you. He says, now you just keep walking on the bridge and you will be able to go there. But doubt comes because what if the bridge collapses? Or what if the bridge is too long? Or what happens if I not able to cross the bridge? I cannot come back. Because when you look back, you come a long way. And so, but he says that you cross. So he's the one who has actually laid a bridge. By what? By giving the Vedas to us. He has given the Vedas to us, the Upanishads to us, Brahma Sutras to us. And he says, you read this, you learn from a teacher qualified in a particular, in a better manner. And then you make sure that you are able to cross the bridge. It's called Ayatanam Brahma. Okay. So next one is Sarva Adharam Brahma. Sarva Adharam means the one who is the substance of everything. Sarva Adharatvam means the entire universe is mainly because of him. So he is the Adharam for the universe. There is no other person who is responsible other than him. So Sarva Adharam Brahma. Then Hrit Pundarika Brahma. Hrit Pundarika Brahma. So Hrit means the heart. And Pundarikam, when you say, the lotus shape. So Hrit Pundarikam. So the one who is present in the heart in the form of a lotus. Or Hridaya Kamale. Hridaya Kamalan. So Hrit Pundarika Brahma. Then Jagat Karanaha, the cause of the entire universe. So he's also the cause and also the effect. So you can say Jagat Karanam and Jagat Nimittam also, the cause and the effect also. So both Karanam, Karyam. So both is responsible for this. So Karana Kari Sambandha. So he knows the cause is also the effect. He is non-separate from the effect also. Then Jagat Bhakshaha Brahman. Jagat Bhakshaha Brahman. So Bhakshaha means what? The one who is a devourer or the swallower. So devourer means Samhara. So even though Samhara Murti is defined as Shiva, in the Vaishwa tradition, because there's only one Narayana there, so they do not worship other devatas. Not because they don't want to. It is because they have too much to think about. Correct. So they have a lot of things to study, and they have so many. They have Thirumangai Alvar, Divya Prabandham. So many things are there to study. So other particular time irukadhu. Then you ask them to study Shaiva Siddhantam, difficult. Because a complete different philosophy where Shiva is talked about, only Shiva is talked about. So they are happy to be in their own place. But an Advaiti doesn't really care who talks what. Oh, you want to talk about Shiva? Okay, we will talk about Shiva also. You want to talk about Vishnu? Okay, we will talk about Vishnu also. And what do you think? He said, I personally think that there is no Shiva or Vishnu, there is only Bhagavan. That's what the answer will be. So the Advaiti doesn't really bother who is talking what, because for him everything is only one. But for a person who is qualified, or a person who has actually got a particular view, then he or she will always be inclined to read that particular topic. It is not bad. It is okay. So, Jagat Samharakam. Then, next one. Mukta Bhogyaha. Mukta Bhogya Brahman, or the one who is the giver of mukti in the jivas. So ultimately, when you arrive at a destination, he is supposed to give you mukti, finally. Mukti means what? He is supposed to free you from all sorts of things. So, Mukti Dayaka, you can say. Mukti Pradayaka, you can say. So, Mukti Dayaka, Mukti Pradayaka is also another name for this Brahman or Para Brahman. See, all of these called Brahman, we say, they are Para Brahman, they are qualified non-dualism. So, they are qualified. Okay. Then the last one is called Bhuman. Bhuman. So, Bhuman, when you say here, the word Bhuma indicates association between Satyam and Sukham. So, the one who is the giver of Satyam or who is the bestower of Satyam and Sukham is called Bhuman. So, what all things we saw? We saw so many names, so many different names of this Narayana, correct? And just gives you an idea about how different things are discussed. But ultimately, all of them, if you collapse, is only one. All of them represent only one, but they appear to be many. So, with this introduction, we will now go into the text and see what he says here. Om Sahasrasirsham Devam. Om Sahasrasirsham Devam. Vishwaksham Vishwashambhuvam. Vishwaksham Vishwashambhuvam. Om Sahasrasirsham Devam. Vishwaksham Vishwashambhuvam. So, as usual, the word starts with Om. Om is called the Pranava Mantra. We have seen elaborately Om before. Then, first, Sahasra Sirsham. So, just like Sahasra Sirsha Purushaha, here also Sahasra Sirsham. And what is this? Devam. So, Devam here represents the celestial being or the one who is the self-effulgent, radiant person called Devam. So Devam represents here the one who is self-effulgent or the one who is the indweller. So Sahasra Sirsham Devam, the one who has got 1,000 heads or who has got innumerable heads, is present in everyone as the Devaha, as the one present as the very essence of everything in every living and non-living being. That is the first meaning of that. So Sahasra Sirsham Devam. Then next word, Vishwaksham. So Vishwa Akshaha. So the one who has got eyes in the entire world. The one who has got, when you say I am keeping an eye on the world, what does it mean? That means what? You are keeping an eye on everybody, means what? You are actually in control. You are actually seeing things. You are making sure that things are working okay. And you are going to question anything that is going wrong. So how does the Bhagavan look at it? The Bhagavan doesn't have eyes, really speaking. He doesn't have eyes. But what are his eyes? His eyes are the dharma. The dharma, see, he sees the world in function, in order through the dharma. He has established so many dharmas, so many rules which we know, so many which we do not know, and we think we know, but we will not even be knowing for many years. There are so many unwritten rules which you will only know when you come across it. Because human mind cannot foresee these things. But the example could be that you may have read, you must be a very good driver in New Zealand, let us say. You know all the roads, all the roundabouts, give indicator left here, there. But something that will be there, the policeman will be waiting there. He said, you didn't do this. What? It is not in the rule book. No, it is the latest rule book, it is there. Because you do not know about it because you think that's what you know. But there's another Bhagavan there, police Bhagavan there, sitting there and reading this book every day, updating this book every day. And he is waiting, the moment you slip, he is ready to find you. So in the same way, and you can't escape, correct? You cannot bribe him also. If you bribe him also, he'll put you in jail. You cannot talk to him, in a rude manner. You talk to him, yes sir, okay, take the fine, 3 minute points, and you just keep quiet and make sure you don't make the same mistakes. What do you do when you get fined? You keep quiet for next 3 years till the points go out of, correct? You're very careful in driving. You do not want to take another demerit point. Same way Bhagavan also. What does he do? He establishes all the checkpoints we have there. So he says, okay, you want to rub the law, dharma, here it is. So when you rub the dharma, he will rub you back. We cannot withstand Bhagavan's revenge. See, we think that we can manage, but we cannot. Look at what we are doing now. All of us struggling. This is not a single person happy. Not happy at all, correct? Confined to a single place. You cannot walk, you cannot go out, you cannot socialize, you cannot talk, you cannot eat anything out there, you cannot drive out. Correct? All these are what? They are indirect way of the dharma being, not being followed. Somewhere, there is some slip up. And because of that, the Bhagavan indirectly does it. So these are all, anything which is you see, or anything, any catastrophe you see, is all because of the way we are operating dharma. Tree cutting, all concrete roads, not having any concern for health. All these things are all what? They are all not in the dharma, Bhagavan dharma. But it is, when you do that, it will be a problem. That's why he says here, Vishwaksham. So Akshuhu, when you say it is just not eyes, Akshaihi means all eyes, limbs, etc. So he uses all his eyes, ears, limbs, nose, sense of power, touch, everything he's got. So he uses that to govern this order. Then, see, Vishwa Akshuhu, Vishwa Shambhuhu. So the word Vishwam comes very frequently because he keeps repeating Vishwam again and again, because one has to extend vision from single vision to multi-vision. Right? So you have to see that you are not just looking at yourself, you are looking at the entire world as yours. You are in the world, you are part of the world, you are non-separate from the world. So when you have the vision, then you will definitely see that the world is not responsible for your unhappiness. The world is also not responsible for your problems, because how can somebody be responsible when you are part of it? You can only be responsible, or you feel responsible, when you're out of it. Correct? Like in the class yesterday, I told you in the Jiva Yatra class, what did I tell you? Sadhyam sadhanam. Correct? So the happiness, there are two things. Every object gives you happiness. Correct? Every object. Now, the question is understanding whether happiness, are you seeking happiness, or are you seeking the object? You are seeking happiness from an object, correct? So the object is supposed to give you happiness, and that is what you are after. You are not after the object, is it correct? Because the object doesn't mean anything to you. An example could be a son or your wife or your daughter or anybody. What are you looking for? You're looking for happiness. Right? And happiness is given by the object. If the object does not give you happiness, would you hold on to the object? Would you? You won't, right? Example, a car. You are driving a new car, you like the car. After 5 years, 6 years, you drive the car, you get bored. Now the happiness which you got in the beginning, you're not getting now. So what do? You change the car. No, I want to hold on to the car. So when you hold on to the car, you will be unhappy because your car will become old. You spend more money. You will crib about it. So what is Satyam? Happiness is Satyam. And the objects are Mithya. Correct? Same way here also. When you say Vishwaksham, Vishwashambhuhu. So Shambhuhu means the one giver of happiness. Shambhu, giver of happiness, bestower of happiness. And who is this Vishwashambhuhu? The one who is the bestower of happiness for the entire world is called Vishwashambhuhu. Om Sahasrasirasham Devam Viswaksham Vishwashambhuvam Vishwaksham Vishwashambhuvam. You got this meaning now? Okay. So when you chant this mantra, you'll know, oh, Sahasrasirasham Devam. So that Deva which is present in every living, non-living being is also present in me. That Deva, that Bhagavan who is the order of Dharma, who is the Dharma Karta, is there as Bhagavan. That Bhagavan who is actually the bestower of happiness, Narayana, is in me. This is how you should see. Not gada gada gada, it's not chanting fast. That days are over. I taught you the chanting, you all know chanting now. Now you have to sit down and then slowly chant. Sahasrasirasham Devam Vishwaksham Vishwashambhuvam. So when you chant the mantra, you know the each and every meaning of the word mantra. That's why then the meditation has become serious. So you visualize, you understand the meaning of the mantra, then you are with the mantra. Correct? Otherwise, you will only be listening to other people chanting fast. You will try to catch up with the other person there and try to prove your prowess. Here, we're not interested in proving anything to anybody. Correct? Initial days were over. Yes, I can chant very well. And you can prove that, yes, you can chant. But now, it is not anymore for proving it. You already proved, you know, what is new about it. Now you have to say that, okay, now I know the meaning of the mantra. So it becomes more important, correct? The next one. Vishwam Narayanam Devam. Vishwam Narayanam Devam. Aksharam Paramam Padam. Aksharam Paramam Padam. So, Vishwam Narayanam Devam Aksharam Paramam Padam. So again, Vishwam. See the word Vishwam comes, that means what? The world, the object, the world, all the world, etc. is always, the Vishwam comes there. That means you contemplate not on yourself. Now you stretch beyond. From Yashti, you have a Samashti Vichara. So Yashti Vichara is when you just do yourself. I am there, I am very chanting, I am very happy about it. I do not know what's happening in the other part of the world. Let them do what they want. No. Now you are actually connected with the world. So you say all of this chanting, all of the people are doing, they're all doing great work. I'm not the only person. Everybody is sadhaka, everybody is Jivan Mukta, all these things. So it's just a broad vision. So Vishwam. Then Narayanam. We saw the meaning of the word Narayanam before. So you use a word there. And one more, Devam. So Devam means celestial or the one which is auspicious, self-effulgent, intelligent, is called Devam. Now is Devam Aksharam. So the one which is indestructible, so the one which cannot be destroyed. So this Devam or this celestial being or this effulgent person who is called Narayana and who is present in the Vishwam. Okay, see how this is understanding. So this Narayana who is present in the Vishwam is of the nature of self-effulgent Devaha, and this Devaha is of nature of Aksharaha. Correct? That is how you understand Aksharam. Then Paramam. So Paramam Padam. So Paramam means what? That which is superior. So Paravidya, Aparavidya. We have two types. So Paravidya means what? That with superior knowledge. And Aparavidya means which is not superior knowledge. Anything which is relating to the study of the Bhagavan, anything which takes you closer to the study of the Bhagavan or knows the meaning of the Bhagavan is called Paravidya. Anything which is not relating to the study of yourself or Atma Jnanam is called Aparavidya. So, and Padam, they say, Padam means the method by which it takes you to this Paramam. Padyate anena iti padam. Padyate anena iti padam. That means, padam means what? Padam, foot. So what do you do with padam? You walk, correct? So you go to the destination by walking. Same way here also, the padam means the destination or the person to whom we should go towards is of the nature of Paramam, is of the nature of Aksharam, is of the nature of Devam, he is called Narayanam, and the one who is present in Vishwaha. You got it? That is how you should understand. So when you read the verse, that is how you should read. So if you read, always you should read from the meaning is given in the last letter or the last, sometimes the verb. The verb indicates what it is trying to say. So, Vishwam Narayanam Devam Aksharam Paramam Padam. So, everlasting. It's called Narayanaha Devam Aksharam Param. Next. Vishwatah Paramanityam. Vishwatah Paramanityam. Vishwam Narayanagum Harim. Vishwam Narayanagum Harim. Vishwatah Paramanityam. Vishwam Narayanagum Harim. So, Vishwataha. So Vishwataha means the one who is present or the abode of Vishwaha, the owner of Vishwaha. Vishwataha, the one who is spread in all the Vishwam. Then Paramam, the word Paramam again comes. See Paramam again. So the method of repeating is not for because he likes to repeat. The repetition is for Maranam. The repetition is to understand Paramam, Paramam, Paramam. That means it is 3 times. So Paramam means this. And how now this another word called Nityam. So Paramam means always. Correct? Paramam, that which is abode of everything, the superior, and is the nature of Nityam. Correct? Nityam. So Nityam, when it says always available for experience. Correct? Eternal, you can say this. So you will say Vishwamevedam Purushastat Vishnumupajivati. Is there also, correct? So then Narayanagum Harim. So this person is of the nature of Paramam, Nityam, Vishwataha. And Vishwam Narayanagum Harim. Harihi means that which snatches away your fear. It's called Harihi. So when I say Harihi, Harim means the one who is responsible for taking away your fear. It's called Harihi. So Vishwatah Parama Nityam. So that means what? If at all there is a world here. So Vishwataha means the Bhagavan, the ruler of the world. And Parama Nityam means Paramam. So there is something which is even above this Vishwaha. So this world is only an imaginary cause. And the world is only a manifestation of all this Ishvara. Right? But this Narayana is actually something superior or before than even this Vishwaha. So the one who is standing tall, above and everything is called this Paramaha. So Paraman, when they say Paramatma, Paraman, they're all word, right? Parama Purushaha. There are different words. Parama Purushaha, Paraman, Purushottaman, Paramam. Right? So, and Nityam. So the one who is always there, available, always there is called Nityam. So not even he is extending above the universe, he is there as always present there all the time. Nityam. So he is not going to disappear. Like the Bhagavan is not going to go away from you at any point of time. You will go away from the Bhagavan. Because you do not know what the Bhagavan is, so you just don't know what it is. He says, I will not go from here. What is here? Vegam Kuduttanda Vendanadi Velga. Correct? So in the other class we see Vegam Kuduttanda Vendanadi Velga. That means what? The mind which is there is Bhagavan is given. So the one who controls the mind, the one who is present in me as a mind is this Vendan, king. So Vendanadi Velga. Same thing is talked about here also. See all this Siddhantam and they're all same. There's no difference. But they all say the same thing in different manner. So Vishwaksham, so Vishwatah Paramanityam Vishwam Narayanagum Harim. Correct? So Harim, Hariti means the one which takes away, it's called Narayanam. So Harim, when you say here, what is it trying to take away from you? He is trying to take away from you all the Ajnana. And Ajnana is the cause of this suffering, correct? So when you are ignorant about many things, you suffer. The sufferings are actually taken to be Satyam. Sufferings are not there at all, really speaking. Sufferings are there at the body level, yes. So if you got a headache, it is at the body level. But at the absolute conscious level, there is no suffering. So he's saying that you have to understand this Bhagavan is of the nature of what they call Shuddham. Right? He is always pure. So he doesn't get affected by any of these things. So you should not also be affected by this, technically speaking. But we are affected. Why? Because we consider ourselves to be the enjoyer and the creator of this everything. Correct? Karta and Bhokta. Because of that, we feel this. But he says, by chanting this mantra, by remembering the person, you will be free from this because he will snatch away the pains. He will be the person who can take away the pains. So, Vishwatah Paramanityam Vishwam Narayanagum Harim. Means the person who is called Harihi. So another name for Narayana is Harihi. So many names are there. Harihi means what? What is Harihi? Oh, Hari means Hari. No, Hari means Harati iti Harihi. Harati iti Harihi. Means the one who snatches away something from you is called Harihi. And what is it takes away from you? Your dukkha, your sorrow, your pains, sufferings. It's called Harihi. So we'll do the first two again and then we'll conclude here because I know it's time late for you. Om Sahasrasirisham Devam Vishwaksham Vishwashambhuvam Vishwam Narayanam Devam Aksharam Paramam Padam Vishwatah Parama Nityam Vishwam Narayanagum Harim. Okay. Any questions on this class today? Anyone has got any doubts? I think it is very clear. Right? I don't know. I thought I made it very clear.
Yes, Shankarji.
So it's a different Pushpaji, right? Different connotations, correct? When you chant and when you.
Yes, yes.
I myself, I just read. I don't know. It's written there. All these mantras are there. Vishwam Eva, Vishwam Eva, Vedam. So all these meanings are all for contemplation. Every single word is a contemplation. See this. See, Vishwaha, Shambhuhu, Narayanam, Devam, Aksharam, Paramam, Padam. All of them are actually for contemplation. Every word you have to really give meaning. So that is what, that's why meditation is slow. Meditation is not very fast. You see that? In meditation, people don't do fast things. Chanting, people do chanting because mind is very fast. In meditation, mind is opposite. What do? Mind slows down completely to 0 degrees. So you just slow down completely. For slowing down, what do? You have to stop. You have to stop at every place and then understand the meaning and then go to the next one. So that is what practice your mind. So this particular mantra is for meditation and contemplation. The previous mantra is for visualization. So Purusha Suktam, which we taught, was for visualizing the Srishti, how it was like this. Now after visualizing the Srishti, now you have to sit and meditate on this. Right. All okay? Very good. So we'll conclude the class here and we will see next week how do you go about it. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Harihi Om Tatsat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Namaste and Shubha.
Shubhrat.
Thank you, Ji.
Thank you, Shankarji.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We'll see you next week. Hari Om.